Welcome to Ditch Relation Tales, where we unravel the most shocking family dramas and untold relationship stories you won't believe. Thursday started like any other day. Work had been long and tiring, but the promise of a quiet evening at home kept me going. By the time I arrived, the house was as it usually was, calm and filled with the soft murmurs of everyday life. My wife, Susan, sat downstairs watching one of her favorite shows, and our 16-year-old daughter, Emily, was upstairs in her room, chatting away on her phone as teenagers do. I headed upstairs to say goodnight to Emily, but as I approached her room, a snippet of her conversation made me stop dead in my tracks. "Yes, my mom was with him again last weekend," she said with casual ease. My heart skipped a beat. For a moment, I thought I must have misheard her. Surely, this wasn't what it sounded like. I moved closer, trying to convince myself it was just some teenage gossip I was misinterpreting. But Emily's next words confirmed my worst fears. "She's been seeing him for a while now. She doesn't even try to hide it anymore." Her words hit me like a punch to the stomach. I stood frozen in the hallway, my thoughts racing. Was this some sort of misunderstanding? Surely, there had to be an explanation. But the tone of her voice was clear, devoid of any doubt or hesitation. Worse still, there was a faint chuckle in her voice, a kind of amused acceptance that stung deeper than I could have imagined. Not only was Susan having an affair, but Emily knew about it, and she was complicit. I felt a wave of nausea as the betrayal sank in. How could this be happening? How long had it been going on? And why hadn't I seen it? Emily's light-hearted tone made it even harder to bear. She didn't just know about the affair. She was actively helping her mother cover it up. For a moment, I considered barging into the room and demanding an explanation, but I stopped myself. Emily didn't know I was there, and I realized I needed time to think. Confronting her or Susan without proof would only give them a chance to lie, to twist the truth. I had to stay calm, even though my world had just been turned upside down. I went downstairs, forcing myself to act normal. Susan was sitting on the couch, her eyes fixed on the TV, her face serene. Looking at her, you'd never guess that anything was wrong. How many nights had she come home to me after being with someone else? How many lies had she told without a flicker of guilt? That night, I lay awake in bed, staring at the ceiling. Memories of our life together flooded my mind. Our wedding day, the birth of our daughter, the quiet moments we'd shared over the years. All of it felt like a cruel joke now. The woman I thought I knew, the life I thought we'd built, had been nothing more than a carefully constructed facade. Over the next few days, I started looking for evidence. I couldn't live with the uncertainty, and I needed the truth. Late at night, while Susan slept, I checked her phone. What I found confirmed everything. There were messages from someone named D, filled with endearments and plans for secret meetings. It wasn't just physical, it was emotional. Susan had built a relationship with this man, a life outside of our marriage. But it didn't stop there. One evening, I found a burner phone hidden in her office drawer. It was full of texts and photos, each one a dagger to the heart. The relationship wasn't new. It had been going on for a long time. Emily's role became even clearer. She'd been helping her mother all along, covering for her, keeping her secrets. By then, I knew what I had to do. I wasn't going to confront Susan. I wasn't going to give her the satisfaction of seeing my anger or pain. Instead, I decided to leave. Not just the house, but the life we'd built together. I would disappear without a trace, just as she had stolen the trust and love I'd once given her. For weeks, I made my preparations in secret. I transferred money out of our joint accounts, closed credit cards, and found a place where she'd never find me. Late at night, after they'd gone to bed, I packed a bag with my essentials and sorted through what I wanted to take and what I would leave behind. I wanted to leave just enough to make my absence a powerful statement, a reminder of what she had thrown away. The morning I left, I took one last walk through the house. Each room held memories, good ones, painful ones, and now, bitter ones. I stood in Emily's room, remembering the nights I tucked her in, read her stories, and listened to her dreams for the future. I walked through the kitchen, where Susan and I had shared countless meals, laughed over silly jokes, and planned our lives together. Each step was like closing a chapter. When I walked out the door, I didn't look back. As I drove away, a strange sense of relief washed over me. I wasn't just leaving the house or the people who had betrayed me. I was leaving behind the lies, the heartbreak, and the version of myself that had been trapped in a life of deception. I settled in a small seaside town, far from anyone who might know me. My new life was quiet, unremarkable, but free. I rented a modest flat overlooking the ocean and spent my days exploring the area, meeting people, and enjoying the peace that came with anonymity. For the first time in years, I felt like I could breathe. At first, it was hard not to think about Susan and Emily. I imagined them waking up to find me gone, realizing the extent of their betrayal. I wondered if they missed me or if they felt any regret. But as the days turned into weeks, those thoughts came less frequently. I shut off my phone, cutting all ties with my old life. Slowly, the pain began to fade. 3 years later, I'd rebuilt my life entirely. I'd found work in town, made a few friends, and even started dating again. One cool afternoon, as I sat at a cafe enjoying a cup of coffee, a familiar voice jolted me back to the past. "Is it really you?" I looked up to see Dan, an acquaintance from my old life. He sat down across from me, his face a mix of shock and curiosity. "Everyone thought you just vanished," he said. I explained as little as possible, but Dan was eager to fill in the blanks. After I left, he told me, rumors about Susan's affair began to surface. At first, people pitied her, assuming I had abandoned her for no reason. But as the truth came out, everything changed. Susan's infidelity was exposed, and she lost her reputation, her friends, and even Emily. According to Dan, Emily blamed her mother entirely for what had happened. After graduating, she cut all ties with Susan and moved away. Hearing this gave me a strange sense of closure. I hadn't sought revenge, but life had a way of balancing the scales. Susan was left to face the consequences of her actions, alone. As the years passed, I continued to heal. I met someone new, Claire, a kind, understanding woman who brought light back into my life. Slowly, I shared my past with her, and she listened without judgment. With her, I found something I hadn't expected, hope. One evening, as I sat on the beach watching the sun dip below the horizon, I reflected on how far I'd come. The betrayal that had once consumed me was now just a distant memory. I'd rebuilt my life, not through anger or revenge, but through resilience and a determination to find peace. An update on the drama-filled stories we bring your way. Walking away had been the hardest thing I'd ever done, but it had also been the most freeing. In leaving, I'd reclaimed my life, my identity, and my happiness. The people who had once caused me so much pain were no longer a part of my story. I was free, and for the first time in years, I felt whole. Thank you for tuning into Ditch Relation Tales. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more jaw-dropping tales. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an update on the drama-filled stories we bring your way.